Alright, so that with Ace Hardlight out of the game, we are at the top actually. And hey, Hydra Girl and Kid Nova are still alive, and so is Agent Zero. So good on them.
Sure, it'd be nice if we get to meet them, right?
Well, we'll see.
R.I.P. to that Quasar guy.
Actually, that's something I haven't talked about. Well, I will probably do during the final thoughts, but for promotional material, there was a small web comic, tied to the launch of his game, which detailed, that guy in the black suit that gets killed at the beginning by Ace Hardlight. The web comic has a few pages that basically have lead up to that moment, just to give you an idea of, oh, this guy is kind of in a tragic role. Sasha was also talking about that in her communication with Ratchet, but it's not really worthy just giving a look at. But I will put these scans that have been recuperated while we say our final thoughts in the last part. Why not?
My friends, it is a black day for DreadZone fans across the galaxy. Ace Hardlight, champion exterminator and respected philanthropist, was brutally cut down by the maniac contestant known as Ratchet, aka the Butcher of Bogon.
Fans reacted to Ace's defeat with shock and outrage. Boo! We hate you, Ratchet. You cheated.
Ratchet is a malicious criminal. He must be punished.
Bowing to public pressure, Gleam and Vox acted quickly to address the issue.
Fans of DreadZone, I share your pain for the loss of the mighty Ace Hardlight. I encourage you all to express your grief and sympathy by purchasing this limited edition Ace Hardlight Memorial Action Figure on sale now for only 299 volts.
A Vox News investigation later revealed
Okay.
I
like that joke. So stupid.
In accordance with DreadZone Regulation C6-5/9, paragraph 2, Ratchet has been sentenced to meet his fate on the Gauntlet.
So yeah, now we're dealing with, not supernatural, but it's an abandoned starship. This was a few years before Rogue Galaxy, where the original optional dungeon is literally something like this. So, interesting enough. Even has the green filter to it.
How interesting to do that.
So yeah, this approach is gonna be a bit different. If I recall correctly, first we need to activate the points and then use a spaceship to actually blow up some of the generators. And that one is gonna be the bit that I will speed up to be able to hear. But for now, if I recall correctly, we start on foot.
Do not worry, Ratchet.
Yeah, there we go. Again, no, it's the fact that Cleveland Vox now has almost tried to shift gears with the publicizing Ratchet. Then he says no, and now the Smearing campaign resumes again, like he never stopped. But was also the fact that Ace Hardlight was acting smug as the entire game. Completely, and even he's the one that blasted Hal away. He's responsible for that. Keep that in mind. But then at the last second, they try to make him more sympathetic and says, "Oh, I was just misled by the televised market. You have to don't become like the one and Dean." A bit too late, my dude. You're not Judge Gabranth. I'm sorry.
It's like, it feels like they wanted to have him be like, oh, surprisingly, he was a good guy at his core who just lost his way, and I'm like, that feels like that makes for an interesting character perspective that was not explored for this entire game. Like, I mean, the thing is, maybe they hinted at his past as a hero or whatnot, but that was barely there, and again, we don't even get to see glimpses of the man he once was. Like, for comparison's sake, without spoiling too much, but in Running Man, the reigning champion, who's basically a veteran at that point, seems like he's a bastard, but then near the end you see that no, he has principles and does not want to actually cheat for the sake of winning the game, essentially. Ace Hardlight never really gets a moment like that. It's just, I guess Ratchet kicking his ass made him realize, oh my god, I've become the very thing I swore to destroy, or some jazz like that. Hence his
or more
warning
like
Ratchet
just
not to
saying
be
to
like
him, "Do not become like me." Like again, that wouldn't make sense for a character that was entirely built to have regrets, to have become the person in that kind of position. Again, Judge Gabran from Final Fantasy XII. That's the entire point of his character arc. But no, this comes out of nowhere and tries to make more sympathetic out of Ace Hardlight, which, well, maybe that's a good reason why he never returned in the franchise. And you know what's funny? I hear discourse online that's saying that the PSP spin-offs villain tend to be the weakest of the entire franchise. I would argue that this game takes the cake for that instead. I don't know, just that, again, concept-wise and design, Vox and Ace Hardlight are fine enough, but because of the restricted type of plot that this game has, they do not have enough time to do anything major other than arguing about, well, my market share rights and stuff like that. So,
like, okay, I feel like both that and kind of the herky-jerk nature of Ace Hardlight's death or potential falling unconscious. Like,
yeah, going to a farm, let's just leave it at that.
Okay, I do bring it up because, I don't know if this is spoiling, I'll type it to you later on, but, okay, for now, though, I feel like the handling of it does tend to have some bits of this game do feel rushed, like, okay, the plot doesn't feel like an afterthought, but it's definitely one of the weaker Ratchet plots. Like, I'm gonna say it's even weaker than that of the first game, honestly, which, I mean, that's not even to speak lowly of the first game, it's just, I feel like with almost any game series, at the very least, you should improve from the very first game in that regard, and nah, this narrative feels pretty weak in that regard. Like, it feels like a last-minute effort to try and make Ace Hardlight seem like a multi-layered character when, nah, I'm sorry, he was kind of just a flat-faced asshole. Like,
They
yeah,
even bothered to have the cutscene of him blasting Al specifically to build up the animosity that Ratchet has during the fight, because as I mentioned, otherwise it would kinda come the fuck out of nowhere and there wouldn't be any major proper personal clash between the two, just a matter of, circumstances happening, but without having much of an interaction with each other, so...
The thing that confuses me the most is, you had all this time to actually legit look into his backstory, like maybe dedicate one of the news segments to stuff he legit did. Like, now sure, there is the issue that a lot of what they say seems to be lies and whatnot, but you kind of maybe slip some truth in.
DreadZone has activated a force field blocking you from the supply ship. However, if you can capture the control nodes in that quadrant, I believe I can override the force field.
Okay, I'll just say he may or may not be alive, but whether or not he's alive, though, I feel it's kind of done so quickly. Like, okay, it's like I've said, yes, Ratchet and Clank games have had abrupt endings, but I feel like at the very least they've cleared the air on the survival or status of most characters that are essential. Ace feels kind of like what the equivalent of Jet from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I'll give credit to Avatar: The Last Airbender, at least they kind of hinted more so that Jet was dying, so they probably were more intentional with leaving his fate,
if I remember correctly, didn't the Ember Island play actually made a parody of that fact?
It did, yeah, about how it was unclear, essentially. Here, I don't even get the purpose. It feels like they just either forgot, which, ouch, that would really be a blow to Ace Hardlight if they just flat out forgot to, solidify his fate. Or they wanted to leave it open in case of bringing him back.
Like we kind of went, like we did with Bork, I guess. So it's just, it's a mess at the end of the day, and again, the fact that he still hasn't returned in any capacity. Again, this is the kind of comedy space opera where a character can just be brought back from the dead and said, I was rebuilt by science, and it will be believable. So
it's like I said, it's weird stuff with Deadlocked. Like, they make a ton of references to Courtney Gears, but she has not come back. She's been mentioned. Without spoiling, there is apparently some subsequent material that implies Ace Hardlight might be alive, but again, nothing really of value. At best, it's just lip service, and like, I don't know how I feel about that kind of wishy-washy sort of fan service. Like, actually put the character in, and okay, to Courtney Gears' credit, they even had her be voiced in this game, so I guess that is still more thought than what else went in here or there. Like, I think the best way to put it about Deadlocked is it's gonna be compared to the original trilogy because, like the original trilogy, it was on the PS2 along with them, and it feels like such a downgrade in many ways. Not like even a bad game, but just feels like a downgrade in how it handles stuff.
Anyway,
what did you want to say?
No, nothing. Anyway, you may notice that also the enemies in this area are also particularly themed by having faint, camouflage type of effect to them because it's a ghost space station. I guess everything needs to be on brand, but they're not. They're not undead, in case you're wondering.
How interesting for an apparent final zone, the ghost zone. That's not to say I've never heard of a game doing the haunted level as its final zone, but it's quite a rarity.
Again, like I said, it's interesting that in Rogue Galaxy it is instead the post-game bonus dungeon, so, it's not too uncommon. If I remember correctly, it's been ages since I played them, but I don't remember exactly the time placement. The bonus dungeon for the first Golden Sun is also, well, it mixes this with a pirate motif. Not necessarily a haunted ship, but it's an island that is terrorized by the undead spirit of a pirate. So there is that.
I mean, I guess something about haunted levels feels like they're good for midpoint, heck, even penultimate levels like in Sonic Heroes, but something about them just doesn't feel fitting for endgame zones. Unless, obviously it's something like Luigi's Mansion or Resident Evil.
Well, in that case, it's the entire point,
Yeah, but like in games where that's not the point, I can't put my finger on it, but haunted levels just don't feel like something you
okay,
put
I
for
will
the
say
endgame.
this, while not technically the final area, a couple of the levels of the final levels of the first Crash Bandicoot, while not necessarily haunted, tend to have a similar aesthetic going on, the climbing on the wall of a castle, for example,
Oh yeah, but like, that's castle, I mean, okay, yes, there is such a thing as haunted castles. I don't automatically associate castles with being haunted, though.
Well, I mean, the idea of the more oppressive atmosphere and a quasi, anxiety horror-inducing state.
Okay, that I can agree with, and Jesus Christ, the remake reveals what are those spooky things trying to grab you from the Great Walls.
You said something before, Dave, that I couldn't catch. What was that?
I was just saying the title of this mission, Prison Break. It's like, damn, that franchise is spreading far. It's even in Ratchet and Clank.
Of course. Well, to be fair, the series had started around this point, so it was kind of, the in thing to do, referencing it.
So who would Wentworth Miller be in a Ratchet and Clank game?
Ace Hardlight himself kind of would fit the look with the look.
Yeah. You know what? I actually could see that. I still joke when Wentworth Miller legit thought that the Resident Evil movie he was in was a prison break movie, since he literally starts that movie having to break out of prison.
Reminder that the director, well, okay, if I recall correctly, has just released an original movie, but next he's working on a House of the Dead movie, and look, it's gonna take, eons to actually, make it worse than the overall movie. So I'm positive to say it will probably be better than that, but
Let me put it like
God only
this.
knows.
So they got Wentworth Miller, but what about Dominic Purcell? Who would he be in a Ratchet and Clank game?
I don't remember what he looks like, so...
I got a picture of him.
Gone. there.
God, who's he in the Resident Evil movies?
No, it was in Prison Break, Drova.
Prison Break. I could see him maybe. Well, okay, mentioning that character is a bit of a spoiler, so I'll let Tio go instead.
Okay, if you were guessing Alistair Asimov from A Crank in Time, I guess him.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if I should mention him or whatnot since we're trying to keep
the character
these.
himself is not really a spoiler by mentioning like this.
Okay.
So yeah,
But,
this
I mean,
particular mission also is a pain in the ass. I get it's one of the final layers and everything, but my god, how many nodes do I have to capture?
Enough.
And also, as a reminder, yeah, I'm not showcasing all the times that I died. I have the Super Ultra 2LG for you on Black Armor at this point, but as you can see, even the most basic shot is still eating away my nanotech like popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
Alright,
it
the
was
good
nice.
news is that, again, with this we can actually unlock the airship and I can speed things up, because now I need to basically pop up the reactors of the ghost stations and also the turrets, but I can do that in the order I prefer.
Or is it?
Ratchet, we must make sure they can never use the station again.
Also, the camera is going like the Dungeons and Dragons movie, it's like all over the place.
Bring the station down. We will deal with Vox when you return.
This will be great in the motion ride that they're making for Ratchet and Clank at Universal Studios.
It's interesting because going back to the cutscenes, like I have to wonder if I have to genuinely guess if that this particular remaster compared to the other ones was a bit more rushed. Not only because of the in-game cutscenes having that weird cutoff thingy, but because I can assume that if they had more time, they potentially could have reworked because the pre-rendered cutscenes are still done using the in-game assets. They were just rendered as a movie. Potentially they could do something akin to what Sucker Punch did with the director's cut PS5 version of Ghost of Tsushima, where they took the pre-rendered cutscenes that in the PS4 version are there pre-rendered to hide load times, and this time rendered them completely in-game, and which now allows you to skip them. So they could have potentially done something like this with this remaster, but probably didn't have the time to do that.
Alright,
So what's the music
do you
piece in here?
recognize this, Liz?
Not particularly.
It's, well, I guess it showcases you haven't played much of 14 after all. It's the Long Fall from Shadowbringers. It's actually one of the more mimetic type of tracks for 14.
Mimetic? Oh my, is it attached to a funny moment in the game?
Well, okay, it's used for one of the post main quest optional dungeons. It encompasses, as you can see here also from the team, it encompasses a bunch of different types of dungeon you face, including stuff like the Crystal Tower equivalent, and that's why you get a remix of that. But because it was super catchy, people started memeing by how the usual, raid goes, using particular PNGs and of people dancing in a specific manner. And the bad people who did the annual Final Fantasy XIV con at one point actually bothered to go up on stage cosplaying as that and mimicking at the sound of that. It was quite a sight to behold. It also again showcases how very well versed is Soken when it comes to composing. He literally did, God, I think every single genre possible for 14. So,
wow.
I am updating them on your minimap. Can you see them?
alright, if I recall correctly, that's enough of that. Yeah, as you can see, don't even have the optional mission because, yeah, I'm at the point of the leaderboard. What else is there? So, let's get back to the main station. So this did not kill us, despite what Gleeman wanted, so that leaves remaining what we're gonna do. But, before that...
I have found a way to shut down the containment fields. And
Clegg, bro, your headset is clipping through your head!
That's amazing.
He's had help.
Al? You're alive! They said your body
Yay,
was
Al's okay!
With a new look, as you're about to see. There you go. Cyborg partially. Tron inspired too, because it was the early years of the internet, and what was one of the image? The overweight guy cosplaying as Tron. So, memes! And I know what you're thinking, wow, this design of Al is cool. Visually speaking, the character has not appeared since this game. It has been mentioned what he's been doing, thankfully, but we have never seen him again.
Yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Ratchet and Clank as a series can get unfortunately sporadic with its cast of characters, which is honestly a shame. Like, I get it. Ratchet and Clank are the main focus, but that doesn't mean we can't keep the supporting cast consistent.
Alright then, tune in for the next part where we finish the game and put this thing behind us once and for all. See ya.
See you then.
See ya.